Well, the political standoff sparking a partial government shutdown, stretching into a third week now as President Trump seeks a compromise to secure the border. Let's go to our headliner this morning, Mercedes Schlapp, White House Director of Strategic Communications. Mercedes, good morning to you and welcome to America's Newsroom.
Good morning.
So first up, what is the latest, and was anything accomplished over the weekend?
Well, the vice president and the negotiating team at the White House met with congressional staffers. The Democrats basically asked for a list of what resources Border Patrol agents need and the Department of Homeland Security. So we provided that list yesterday, and it's very extensive. I mean, it shows that our Border Patrol agents, they need massive resources. Not only is it just border wall funding, which is very critical, important at $5.7 million, but also we're talking about money for judges to deal with the backlog of cases that we're dealing with. And then we also have to keep in mind more detention space, as we've seen this huge surge happen at the border with illegal crossings at about 60,000
So Mercedes,
per month.
What response have you received so far? Democrats asked for this list. You've provided it. How have they responded to it?
Well, what's been so ironic is that the Democrats and the leadership mentioned last week in the meeting with the president that they want to secure the border, yet they fail to define what border security means. Our definition is very clear. We need to ensure that there is wall at the border. They get stuck on concrete wall. The president is talking about steel and providing steel barriers that are very effective at the wall and basically answering to the needs of our Border Patrol agents. The Democrats are using delay tactics. They want to just push forward on funding individual bills. At this point, we're saying, look, we got to fully fund the federal government, and Department of Homeland Security is part of the federal government.
Okay, here's the list, Mercedes, and tell us if we've got it right or what we're missing. $5.7 billion for the steel barrier, not concrete. 75 additional immigration judges and staff to deal with the influx. 750 Border Patrol agents, 2,000 additional law enforcement, technology, $800 million for humanitarian needs, 2,000 additional detention beds. So that was the list, correct? That went out over the weekend.
That is correct.
So has there? Can you characterize? The president said he gave in on the concrete. He went to steel. You gave the list because they requested it, et cetera. Has there been any movement, do you believe, in the discussions that happened on Saturday and Sunday to reopen government?
Look, I think you're going to need to ask the Democrats. They are stuck right now. They're saying they are interested in securing the border, but yet they haven't made the step forward. And we have provided a good faith offer to the Democrats. For weeks, we've said, let's negotiate. Let's reopen this government and ensure that we address this humanitarian crisis that we're seeing at the border.
Understood. Bill, so the answer to the question then is no. There is no movement.
The Democrats need to stop the delay tactics. We need to work together, and we're ready and willing. We've been ready and willing for weeks to ensure that we reopen the government and ensure that we also address this humanitarian crisis. When you're talking about 20,000 minors who are being smuggled every month through the southern border, it is a crisis. When you're dealing with 1 in 3 women being sexually assaulted as they're coming up through this dangerous journey, trying to come into the United States, our system is overwhelmed, and we need a very strong response, and the Democrats need to
I totally agree.
take action.
I totally understand the point you're trying to make here. But in terms of negotiations, has there been movement? I'm not hearing a yes or a no from you, which is okay. It's just, if there's been movement, we want to discover it.
Look, we've made movement on our part in providing the information that the Democrats need. The ball is on their court. They got to move forward if they want to reopen this government and work with us to ensure that they provide the needed resources to our career men and women who are risking their lives on the border every day.
All right, so we're at day 17 of the shutdown. Is there any hope that this could come to an end, say, this week, Mercedes?
Well, we're going to keep talking. We're going to keep explaining to them and presenting the facts to the American people and making the case that this border crisis is something that we have to deal with. It's a national security crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis. We're talking about the lives, vulnerable families that are those individuals trying to come in through the border, and we have a legal immigration system that we need to take care of.
Well, markets have been open an hour here, so we're watching the day 17 of the shutdown. We're also watching these U.S.-China trade talks resuming today. Is there hope that the two sides will come together? Where does the president stand on this issue this morning?
Well, the president talks about his positive relationship with President Xi in China. Obviously, this is critical. We want to ensure that we keep pushing forward a free, fair, and reciprocal trade deal with China. China has been impacted very negatively because of the tariffs. We've seen their economy drop. And so, in essence, this is, again, this is part of the process. They've got 90 days till March 1st to get a deal done. And this is part of what we need to get done to ensure that the tariffs are not reinstated.
There was a lot of talk over the weekend. One of the topics that came up was impeachment. First from Nancy Pelosi, you'll hear, and then Steny Hoyer from Sunday. This is how they answered it and characterized it yesterday.
That would be depending on what comes forth from the special counsel's office. If and when the time comes for impeachment, it will have to be something that has such a crescendo in a bipartisan way.
I think that impeachment talks right now are distraction. We'll have to see what the Mueller report says. Okay. Nancy and I have both said that. We have voted that way on the floor of the House of Representatives.
What is the reaction from the president when the talk of the I word comes up? And is it a fair assessment to say that when the topic is broached that he, in a political sense, relishes that?
Look, there's no question that President Trump has been the most successful president in pushing forward a bold agenda, not only from a domestic standpoint, from a foreign policy standpoint as well, in terms of the growth of our economy, of his list of accomplishments that the president is focused on every day. And so if the Democrats want to keep their impeachment talk, where we know there's no collusion, where we've been transparent and cooperative in the process, look, that's a losing strategy for them. The American people want the Democrats, the president, the Republicans to work together to solve problems for our nation. That is what the president is focused on every day. If they want to use impeachment as their political maneuver, they can go and try, but let me tell you something, they will lose. And at this point, as we say, the president is very focused on the agenda, on ensuring that we can find bipartisan solutions on infrastructure and trade and keep this economy booming, as he has been able to accomplish in his short time in office.
As far as the president and his team changing their tune on the withdrawal of troops from Syria and the timetable there, we're hearing something different from John Bolton as far as conditions. What do we need to know this morning about this and where the president and his administration stand?
The president hasn't changed his position. As he mentioned, his primary goal is to ensure the safety of our troops and the safety of our allies as well. And so the Department of Defense will come up with its operational plan to safely withdraw our troops. We have done our work there in Syria. We have defeated the territorial caliphate, and it's time to bring our troops home.
Is he changing his position?
No, he is not. As we know, this is obviously in works with the Department of Defense. It takes time to take the troops out because we want to make sure that our troops are safe in this process.
Okay. If he did not issue the decision he did 3 weeks ago, would James Mattis still be serving in his White House, his administration?
Look, as we know, Secretary Mattis and the president had some fundamental disagreements. And what we know is that President Trump is right on this issue of Syria. We have done our work in Syria in withdrawing our troops and being able to defeat the territorial caliphate. And he's working wonderfully with Acting Secretary Shanahan and our team. And the president literally is sticking to his word. He said he was going, and during his campaign, that he was going to withdraw troops, and he did just that.
Okay. Mercedes Schlapp, thank you so much for your time. I hope you come back. We've got a lot more questions, as I'm sure you can imagine. Thanks, you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks.